the folks at Outnumbered on Fox News, oh, they were not happy at all that Biden had dared talk about white supremacy. And so they literally had one of the dumbest, I mean, one of the dumbest conversations you have ever heard. And so I just want, y'all know a lot of times I just ignore these stuck on stupid people, but I just really had to deconstruct the sheer stupidity that I saw and heard today. Roll it.
One of the problems with this is that he thinks because he is in front of a black audience that he can just say whatever he wants. I don't ever remember him saying with such specificity any of this in front of a white audience, but maybe we missed that day. Maybe it happened in Delaware on one of those mystery weekend getaways.
Stop. Harris, as a black woman, you should be ashamed of yourself. You absolutely should be ashamed of yourself. First and foremost, it's abundantly clear you've never actually followed Joe Biden when it comes to speaking. That's just one. Two, I thought you were a so-called news anchor, and so you're trying to throw some shade about his mystery weekends in Delaware. No, it's called actually going home for the weekend. What's also silly with your comments, Harris, as one of the few black people on air there at Fox News, you didn't listen to the speech, nor did you read it. Because if you actually did, and again, I was there, you would have realized that Biden, talked about student loan debt, talked about police reform and accountability, and a host of other issues. But see, you, he thinks he can say whatever he wants. Well, actually, Harris, when you're the president, you typically can say whatever you want. Now, I've actually given 20 commencement addresses. I don't know about you. I don't know who's ever invited you to speak at a commencement. And guess what? In all 20, I kind of said what the hell I wanted to say. Yep, sure did. So it's called commencement speaker prerogative. So you may know nothing about that, Harris. So keep rolling it.
But this is really important because there is domestic terrorism in our country, and you can look at the facts and see where that's coming from. You can also say that two things are true. Things can be a problem without being the number one or the only problem. But right now, our sovereignty is at stake. Right now, people are still fighting high prices of things. Like we're in the midst of history making for all the wrong reasons. The blacks in that audience care about that. You don't think that we care about the economy?
Of course.
I mean, come on, you don't have to victimize us to reach us, but that's what he does. No one's putting us in chains.
That's a great point. And look, come back.
That was just stupid, Harris. I mean, that was just some dumb shit you just said right there. Okay? The director of the FBI, Harris, has gone before Congress on numerous occasions and actually said the number one national security threat is white domestic terrorism. Oh, I noticed how you didn't want to say white. I noticed, Harris, how you just conveniently didn't say white. I noticed that. I noticed how you were just so bothered by the speech, and then you were so bothered by the speech, Harris, that there's so many other issues. See, I love it when you're a president who's talking about white supremacy, and you as a black woman go, but why you got to bring that up? Why can't you talk about some other stuff? No. Why don't we stick to the white supremacy part? See, that's why for some folk, it becomes an embarrassment, if you will, for black people to have you sitting up there, Harris, just saying just dumb shit. Just dumb. Just dumb. And then you also show your sheer ignorance, Harris Faulkner, when you clearly never read it. You clearly never listened to it. In the speech that I heard, because I was actually there, he actually talked about a number of issues. In fact, do y'all see my iPad? Okay, let me see if, not sure why it's not showing up. Let me try to, because see, again, folk, we only showed you $1:27 of the speech. But what we didn't show you was all of it. Now, we live streamed it. On the Black Star Network. So if you actually want to hear the full speech, you can actually hear the full speech. And we did that because, again, when you're a credible news organization like we are, and Harris Faulkner's Fox News, they're not credible at all. They don't bother to do those things. And so in his particular speech, Biden talked about Mother's Day, things they went through. He mentioned South Carolina State. He mentioned the other honorees and talked about them. And then also, as you go through this, he shouted out the Divine Nine in the speech. He talked about a number of things, including the first black vice president, the first black female vice president, Howard U graduate, showed them some love as well. In the same speech, he talked about the first African-American woman, who got on the Supreme Court. Yep, talked about that. Talked about the issue of violence in the country. Go to my iPad, come on. So he talked about, look at this here right here, y'all. He talked about Charlotte and the crazy neo-Nazis and the white supremacists. Yep. See, you talk about all that sort of stuff like that, fighting against those forces. In the same speech, y'all, he talked about the history of this country and what we must deal with, the history in this country, dealing with lies, talked about record turnout, voter suppression, political violence, mentioned the bomb threats that were against HBCUs all across the country, talked about putting democracy on the ballot, talked about, I'm sorry, Harris said, didn't Harris say, well, there are other things that are so crucial that black people care about? He didn't mention those things. He sat here and said for affordable health care and housing, the right to raise your family, retire with dignity, stand up against gun violence in this country, stand up against books being banned and black history erased. Yeah, I kind of see that kind of stuff in the speech. He also, I'm just scrolling right here as he walks through it, talks about the sinister forces, talked about what they have to do as a graduating class, and what he said, with your voices and votes, I was able to feel my commitment to put the first black woman on the Supreme Court of the United States. Talked about the judicial nominees being more diverse than ever, including African Americans. He said right here, he said, because of you, you turned out, you spoke up, you knew, you showed up, and the votes counted. That's kind of what I see. Right here, you feel the promise and the peril of climate change. Because of you, we're making the biggest investment ever in the history of the world in climate change. He talked about, I'm keeping my promise that no one should be in jail merely because of using or possessing marijuana. That got lots of applause from the audience. He talked right here about student loan debt and the impact on folks as well. He talked about how Republicans are dead set against student loan debt. He sit here and talks about to reduce your debt service payments when you graduate, laying the whole thing out. Same Republicans are fighting those things as well. Talked about the assault weapons ban, talked about police reform and public safety, talked about these very issues. Right here, George Floyd, the bill, banning chokeholds, restricting no-knock warrants, establishing a database. It's amazing. Oh, talks about the investment to HBCUs for doctors and lawyers and judges. Yep, all that right here in the speech. $6 billion in counting to HBCUs, including to create new research and development labs and prepare students for jobs of the future in high-income fields. Cancer moonshot. Talked about those things. Talked about international diplomacy. All of us saying you're the leaders of tomorrow, but it's coming on you really quickly. Talked about all of these things. Y'all are seeing the actual speech that he gave. Talked about the danger to democracy would happen on January 6, 2021. Talked about that very issue. Issued an optimistic message for black students. Laid the whole thing out in his speech. So Harris Faulkner, what the hell are you talking about? You and your white cohort sitting on that Fox panel never bothered to actually read it or listen to it. No, you chose to get fixated on him discussing white supremacy, and then you got indignant even though your own network has had white supremacists and white nationalists on it, talking about the very same thing QAnon and the Proud Boys talk about as well. I never heard your ass say nothing about Tucker Carlson, Harris Faulkner. Never heard you criticize Bill O'Reilly, Harris Faulkner.
That's right.
Never heard you question Sean Hannity, Harris Faulkner. Never heard you challenge Laura Ingraham, Harris Faulkner. I've never heard you defend black people, Harris Faulkner. And you have the audacity, the unmitigated gall, to sit on the air and lie your ass off because you couldn't bother to do some basic damn research and go to Google and type in Joe Biden and Howard's speech and read it for your damn self. Oh, I ain't done. So here's more of the sheer stupidity that they air every day on Outnumbered on Fox News channel.
He has to shore up his numbers among black voters, among young people. He was polling at about 90%, according to the Associated Press, with black voters. Now it's 60%. He has a big problem here.
58.
Perhaps he might have to go back to the well and suggest that if you are a person of a certain skin color who doesn't support him, you're not really black. Remember that?
Yes.
From 2020,
Yeah.
You brought that up in the last hour, Harris. I'd forgotten about that quote briefly. You raised it. I'm like, oh, yeah, he did say that. I think that's a window into his mentality. Not necessarily into his heart, but into the way that his political brain works and what he's trying to do.
That's fair.
And speaking of pandering, let me just throw this right back to you. When he said, I'm not saying this because I'm here, I'm saying this everywhere I go.
Where?
Yeah, is that not a pander to that specific audience?
I think it sits next to it on like the digital Websters, maybe. Like that is exactly a pander. And when he says, I'm not just saying that to blacks at an HBCU, I'm just thinking, does he not know the B in HBCU stands for black? Like, why are you saying it twice? Like, you're really double selling this. You're really trying to put this out there. And by the way, there are a lot of people who teach at HBCUs. Who knows who was in that audience?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know. In my own household, there are people who look like you. So I'm just wondering, and I'm pointing to Guy in case you didn't see that.
Good-looking household.
Yeah, well, I think he's cute myself. My kids are cute. But
Harris, let me help you out. I know you're married to a white man, Harris, but trust me, I think the white professors at Howard University know a hell of a lot more about black culture and what's happening with their black students at the Mecca than you and your husband do. Press play.
point with this is that if you wouldn't say it to everybody, why are you only saying it to a certain audience?
I think his commitment to unity lasted the end of that sentence because we've seen nothing but divisiveness and exactly the kind of stoking and incendiary rhetoric coming from him this entire time. I thought that speech was fantastically degrading. It is so degrading to paint a portrait based on an assumption of the box checked by everyone sitting there and their families, and essentially that there is apparently zero drop of anything else impacting those families, that the most important thing facing them is this enemy. And that will somehow define their trajectory, define their existence by the existence of something else. I know when I graduated college in my commencement speech, I was looking for inspiration. I would think for my president, I would be looking for policy. I would want to know exactly how my community could be lifted up, how that tide rises to lift up all boats, the kind of things where when I walk out of there, I feel more educated, more inspired, more equipped for my divine assignment. Instead, after that, I would feel victimized, I would feel afraid, I would feel judgmental and critical of my neighbor based on a box they checked. This commander-in-chief is anything but a unifier, and that speech was appalling.
Well, Lisa
Okay, that's because you're a dumbass woman. You're a dumbass white woman. That's because you're just dumb. I mean, you literally didn't even read the speech. You literally didn't even listen to it. All of y'all sound like some idiots. We actually ran the speech. I scrolled through the entire speech. He literally challenged the Howard students to be the next generation of doctors and lawyers and scientists. And you yahoos sit on Fox News and lie, but you know what? That's no shock, because you just paid $787.5 million to Dominion because your ass was lying with Donald Trump about the election. All of you are idiots. Every single one of you, the black and the white ones, the white man and the white women and the black woman. The fact that you will knowingly lie to your audience when literally the speech is there for anybody to see shows not a single one of you have any integrity, credibility, morals, values, or principles, because a basic fact check exposes your lies. Y'all, we ain't done. Wait till this next fool talks. Y'all watch this one.
told me during the commercial break she was really feeling unity in Joe Biden's America.
I was saying it as a joke, as we all know. He's the most divisive president, you know, in American history. But the point is...
Stop right there. Stop right there. Oh, my God. No. You're right there, right there. Please put her dumb ass in a 2-box. Y'all, this fool just said, oh my God, he's the most divisive president in American history. On Congo, can you share with folk the absolute racists who followed Abraham Lincoln after he got assassinated? Because her dumb ass clearly ain't never heard of that racist.
Who was also Trump's favorite president. I mean, we're talking about a situation where, you know, you have Andrew Jackson, a man who sit here who said, I don't care about the Supreme Court as it relates to Native American land. I'm going to take it anyway because I got the army and they don't. That's why situations with the Freedmen Bureau never really got off track because of Andrew Jackson. I mean, this man was probably the most racist president we ever had. And then we get Trump later, who has a proud portrait of him to constantly take pictures at or stand next to while he's in the Oval Office. The fact of the matter is, we have more presidents who have been racist than not, right? And so when we look at it at the end of the day and we're coming to Biden, anything that goes against a white extremist, white pride narrative is considered divisive, period, bottom line. And that's why this really ties into your first segment, because every single step that I mean, look, just today, Paul Gosar was found to have a neo-Nazi as part of his staff. Everything they do is about uplifting white supremacy. And so anything that speaks against that is going to be a threat. And furthermore, Roland, to your point, the fact that they don't even care about what's presented, they don't care about reading the stories, they don't care about reading what was actually in the speech. All they want to do is bring him down for anything. I mean, look, the fact of the matter is, in his first presidential campaign ad when he ran a few years ago and his recent one, white supremacy was right there in the ads. everywhere he's gone, he said, I'm running because of what happened in Charlottesville. And so he literally does talk about this everywhere he goes. Presidential debate, called out Trump, which is what led Trump to say, stand back and stand by. So their ignorance is why Tucker Carlson was found to not even be able to be called a credible news source.
But here's the deal.
This is who they are, and you are exposing them 100%.
But here's the deal. Okay, so he said this here. Pamela, please share with our folk about that racist Herbert Hoover who led the lily white faction of the Republican Party.
You know, there's some reason why we don't want to know the truth. We want to find anti-black people who will speak and just say anything, trying to indoctrinate people. Understand what this term means, that the Republicans are using all the time. It means to keep telling something to the point where people don't criticize it and don't check the facts. Look at what these people have done historically and are still doing. White supremacy is on the rise and is everywhere, and we see it. We see it in the politics that this Republican Party is pushing in and trying to erase and to change the narrative of our history, of our story. Because, in fact, let's just erase all this. Let's take this out and let's add this and let's make people think that these were the good people and racism. Well, it doesn't exist. It doesn't bother me, really.
But when you're so dumb and say he's the most divisive in history, Julian, just explain to folk the absolute virulent racist who Woodrow Wilson was.
Oh, please. He would not have black people in the White House. He basically, explaining it, he was not only a dyed-in-the-wool racist, he had so many other issues and challenges that people who had things named after him are taking them down.
He banned black folk from being hired in the federal government. He reinstituted segregation. The man showed Birth of a Nation, that racist D.W. Griffith movie in the White House, helped promote it across the country.
Roland, black people who were civil servants lost their jobs under Woodrow Wilson. They had worked their way up, and they lost their jobs because of him. I don't understand who that little chick was, whatever she was talking about, but I don't watch Fox News, so their level of idiocy is unparalleled. I don't understand who the little Faulkner, whatever her name is, that little chick is either. But between the five people on that panel, I think you might have had a third of a brain, because the nonsense they were spouting, especially, Biden being the most divisive. Come on. We can look at so many others. We can look at Richard Nixon with his Southern strategy. We could look, we could go further back. We could just go president by president by president.
See, that's my whole point. But see, the problem is when one of these idiots, when they get up here and they say, "Oh my God, he was the most divisive ever," it's because their audience, they haven't read, they don't know, and so again, what she said was a flat-out, undeniable, easily proven lie. All right, let me go back to lying-ass Harris Faulkner. Harris Faulkner, who I know, I can text her lying ass right now. Harris Faulkner said, "Oh, Joe Biden brought these things up. Has he ever said that in front of white people?" Henry, go to my iPad.
Here she is. Come on up, Don. Vilma Kari, Joseph Borgen, Grace Bouillon.
Oh, hold up right there. Oh, Lord, please, can you give it to me right here, please? Because I just want to make sure, okay? I don't wear glasses. There's somewhat of a glare on my monitor here, but I got damn good eyesight. It looking like a lot of white people in this audience. I'm sitting. White. Let me go over here. White. White. Do y'all know what this is? This is called the United We Stand Summit, taking action to prevent and address hate-motivated violence and foster unity. This is also called Harris Faulkner is a damn lie. She said, Biden, has he ever addressed these things in front of white people? Harris, these people look like the person you're married to.
Ooh.
Those are your words. So this is what happens, Harris, when you go on the air and make an ass out of yourself and just straight up and lie. Because he said these things in front of black people. I mean, so I don't recall him saying these things in front of white people. Joe Biden said, I've talked about it. That's what he said. And so you're sitting here mad because he brought it up, and what you're trying to do, you want to sit here and use black people as your foil when you didn't even bother, Harris, to actually check the facts. Yep. May 17th, 2022, President Joe Biden on Tuesday called on Americans to reject the poison of white supremacy and urged lawmakers to ban weapons of mass destruction. That's from Roll Call, May 17th. See, matter of fact, I wish let me see if I can go get this here straight. Henry, do you see my iPad here? Good. Pull it up. See, this is for Harris Faulkner, who clearly don't do no damn research. Y'all, let me show you how easy this is. I went to Google and I typed in Joe Biden discusses white supremacy. Y'all saw how easy that was? Do you see what came up? What came up was, oh, damn. It came up, his Howard University speech. Oh, it talked about remarks of Joe Biden. Right here. What is this? Is this the State of the Union? Oh, y'all, control room, can y'all please pull up some video of the State of the Union? Because I recall there were a lot of white people who were sitting in that audience. I don't think that was an all-black audience. Maybe Pamela Omakongo or Julian got some different information on that one. But last I checked, that's a pretty damn white room. And so according to this here search, which came up number one, Biden mentioned white supremacy in his State of the Union address. I think a lot of white people also happen to be watching the State of the Union. So for Harris Faulkner to suggest that, oh, Biden has never talked about these things in front of white people, my God, it's amazing how Google can just make you look like a damn fool. This is literally the speech right here, y'all. So let me just go on back, okay? Right here. I told y'all, right here, boom. Oh my God. April 28th, 2021. Oh, watch. Biden said during his first joint session, joint address to Congress, white supremacy is the most lethal threat. Oh my God. Well, all those white people there. Oh, look at this. Lord have mercy. Biden said on April 20, he said that white supremacy is the most lethal threat to the homeland today. You know what? Since we're here, just go ahead and play it.
Determined to be the most lethal terrorist threat to the homeland today.
Oh, let's run it back.
What our intelligence agencies have determined to be the most lethal terrorist threat to the homeland today. White supremacy is terrorism. We're not going to ignore that either. My fellow Americans, look, we have to come together to heal the soul of this nation.
Oh, so Harris, I'm confused. I'm confused when you say, he's pandering to black people. He brought those things up in front of us, and he hasn't brought those things up in front of white. Oh, my goodness. Y'all, that was on April 28th, 2021. Lord have mercy. Right here. President Biden calls white supremacy a poison when he went to Buffalo, y'all, in May 2022. Ain't that something? He said it right here when he went to Buffalo. Let me keep going. Right here, y'all can pull it up right there. This is when, you know what? What the hell? Just go ahead and play it. Let's just play it.
White supremacy is a poison. It's a poison running through it really is. Running through our body politic. And it's been allowed to fester and grow right in front of our eyes.
I'm just wondering, were there any white people in the audience there in Buffalo? Yeah, I think there were. See, y'all, what I'm doing is I'm showing you what happens when liars lie on television and just make stuff up, and their dumb, largely white conservative audience on Fox News eats it up thinking that they're telling the truth. You know what? Just for shits and giggles, give me a little bit more of the idiots from Fox News.
Pit neighbor against neighbor, people against the other. That is the point of this. Like every Marxist before him, you have to have someone to blame. You have to intentionally divide society. He did this during COVID with the unvaccinated like me, trying to say, hey, don't spend Christmas with your unvaccinated family member. They're dangerous. They're unclean. He did this heading into the midterm elections with ultra MAGA, standing with the military flanked behind him, labeling 75 million Americans as enemies of the state. And now he's just doing it with white people. And the sad part is, and the irony of it, is that Joe Biden has probably made some of the most racist statements of any president in American history, whether it was palling around with segregationists, whether it was saying that Obama was the first black American who was bright, articulate, and clean, whether it was saying he didn't want his kids to grow up in a racial jungle, whether it was saying that you have to have an Indian accent to go into or work at a 7-Eleven or go into a 7-Eleven, whichever it was.
Offensive.
So, I mean, so he has actually made blatantly racist statements, but then he has the audacity to sit there and intentionally divide Americans because guess what? Rome is burning and the country is a mess, and he's trying to prevent a distraction and have a group of people for everyone to blame for their problems.
And by the way, just very quickly.
Stop right there. I do not want y'all to miss what she just said. He wants a group of people to blame someone else for their problems. I do not want y'all to miss what she just said. See, the reason we do these deconstructions is because the other folk just sort of play a little clip. But right there, she said what her intention was. You people, you're blaming someone else for your problems. It's your problem when it comes to crime. It's your problem when it comes to criminal justice. It's your problem when it comes to education. You're trying to blame somebody else for all of your problems. As if the federal government did not sanction redlining. As if the federal government did not have laws that prevented black people from owning banks. As if the federal government did not prevent black people from living in public housing. That's what led to the race riots in Detroit, in Chicago, and other places. As if the federal government and the state governments and the county governments and the city governments did not play a role in the present day conditions of black folks all across this country. What you're seeing are a group of white people on Fox News and a black apologist on Fox News literally lie to their audience and paint a picture that the only thing Joe Biden talked about in his speech at Howard University on Saturday, the only thing he talked about was white supremacy. When we have now shown you the facts, go to my iPad, 2019 during the campaign. Biden says Trump fans flames of white supremacy as Democrats attack racism. This took place right here. Here he was speaking. Oh, my God. Look at this here, y'all. Let me just go ahead and read it. In both clear language and in code, this president has fanned the flames of white supremacy in this nation. Biden, the former vice president, said in a speech in Burlington, Iowa. Come. You know, matter of fact, you know, just go ahead and I leave it on my racial makeup of Burlington, Iowa. Well, damn, y'all. Joe Biden gave a speech in Burlington, Iowa that is comprised of 86.63% white people. And Harry, matter of fact, control room, see if y'all can find video of that speech. I just want to see, because 8.25% of Burlington is black. So the way Harris talking, every Negro in Burlington, Iowa was at that speech and nobody else was there. I got a feeling that if he gave a speech in a city that's 86% white, it was a good number of white people who were in the audience. To everybody who's watching and listening, what I've just laid out to you is how white mainstream media uses white voices and black faces in white spaces to construct a flat-out lie. And so now what they have done, they have now said Biden went to Howard and all he did was talk to the black folks like they were victims. See, that's what happened. And then you had a little white woman in the green. He was trying to blame somebody else for their problems. When he literally said to those students, you can change America. Y'all, it's in the speech. He literally challenged them to save America, to save the democracy, to save the republic, for them to be the best they can be. Not one person on Fox News would say that. It is because, and I keep trying to tell y'all, the job of Fox News and Newsmax and One America News and The Blaze and conservative talk radio, it is to push the buttons of white fear, because they know the only way they can win is if when they are getting rid of ballot drop boxes and when they are keeping folks from voting and voter ID, and if they scare white people into voting. That's why they hate diversity, equity, inclusion. That's why they hate multiculturalism. That's why they cannot stand anything that speaks to black people and Latino people and Asian people, Native American people, non-white people from being able to benefit in this society. See, they ain't gonna show you Biden talking to all them white folks in 2019 discussing white supremacy. Press play while I talk. See, facts are facts, y'all. They sitting right here. What you have just heard me do is literally take every single lie from Harris Faulkner and Kayleigh McEnany and Guy Benson and her. I want to name check everybody. I want to name check everybody. Give me the other two names while I'm looking for them right now. Give me the other two names. Lisa, what the hell is her name? I don't know. Again, y'all give me the names. Y'all, they are deliberately lying. That's why they had to pay Dominion. And I can't wait. Is it Symantec? That's the other company? I hope they take their ass to the cleaners. Lisa Booth, and who's the other person? Emily who? Emily Campagno, Lisa Booth, Kayleigh McEnany, Guy Benson, and Harris Faulkner. Shame on all five of y'all. And you know what? Shame on you, Suzanne Scott, the CEO of Fox News. Because you knowingly allow your host to go on your network and just lie. I have debunked all their lies. And y'all ain't gonna correct it because your network is built on a lie. Because you're damn sure not a real news network. You're not Fox News, you're faux news. You're fake, you are truly fake news. Because that segment was simply gutter trash and a flat out lie. And specifically, Harris Faulkner, shame on you, because you know better. Or at least you should. All right, folks, back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment. When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Your money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.